What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down a wide receiver off-man coverage and zone coverage chart. So we're going to be going over 4 different off-coverage situations, 3 of which are going to be man coverage situations, then 1 of which is going to be zone coverage, and we're going to be talking about how you guys can structure inside breaking routes and outside breaking routes versus each specific coverage. So I hope this video helps you guys out. This was done by request also, fellas, so if you guys have any kind of video feedback, any videos that you guys would like to see next, don't hesitate to leave that in the comment section below. We always appreciate the feedback. Let's get started. So first one we're going to be talking about here is inside shade off man. So we're going to kind of explain what this coverage is, what you should do for each specific route. Then we're going to show a live game example of an NFL wide receiver running a route against this coverage or a college receiver. So first thing, inside routes against inside shade off man, what you want to do is you want to push and attack the outside shoulder to force the hip flip. And then if you have an outside route, you want to attack the leverage and square up the DB. Okay, so let's talk about that. So first clip here, this is Thayer Thomas going up against an inside shade off man DB. So how do we know, number one, that it's off man? Off man is when he's about 7 to 8 yards off and he's looking at you, right? Because a lot of people automatically think that anytime the DB is off like this, that it's zone coverage, right? Especially younger wide receivers, they don't know the difference between the two. And I know that's a big mistake that a lot of the receivers that I work with make, is that they'll automatically assume that it's zone. No, there's a thing called off man. Now, if I have an inside breaking route, we're going to be looking at a dig route right here, or a post route, for example. Inside breaking route, what a lot of guys say is that, oh, I want to attack the DB's leverage. But his whole goal when he's inside shade like this is to keep his leverage and to not let you get to the inside. So that's why you want to push to the outside shoulder. So let's play this thing full speed. So you see Thomas does a great job attacking outside shoulder using a rocker step and then being able to create some separation underneath, because the goal is to threaten him with the outside breaking route. Like I said, so many guys, what they will do is they will just try to attack the DB's leverage. But like we said, his goal is to not give up the inside. So he's just going to keep his leverage, and then you're not going to have anything. So for inside breaking routes, you want to split that DB into 2, attack the outside shoulder. And Thomas, what he does a great job of is using this tempo skip, using a rocker step. But again, it's the same concept. You could either just push vertical super hard, get him to flip his hips and then break underneath, or you could use a rocker step at the top like this. But the same principle applies. We are threatening the outside shoulder. We are threatening the outside to force the DB to turn his hips and open up. And if we can get him to do that, we should be able to create some separation. Now, what did we say? For outside routes, you would want to attack the leverage and square him up. So now that's what we were talking about, right? So if you were to go here and it was an inside route and you attack him, he widens, you'd be running the route right into him. But if it's an outside breaking route, you just created a whole ton of space for yourself. So if you have to run like a 10-yard out, if you have to run a corner, if you have to run a fade route, for example, what you would want to do is you'd want to stem this guy. You'd want to attack the inside shoulder, because now if I attacked him and squared up his leverage, what do you think he would do? He'd keep his leverage, and guess what? You just created an ocean of space that you could go accelerate out to, and that quarterback can lead you to. So understand, when it's inside shade off man, for inside breaking routes, you want to threaten the outside shoulder. For outside breaking routes, you want to attack the leverage and move the DB off his platform. We're going to play it full speed one more time. Great job attacking that outside shoulder, using that rocker step and flipping that DB's hips. Okay, so now, second one we're going to be talking about is head up off man coverage. So this is kind of a more uncommon coverage that you would see, I would say, especially at like in the college level, but in the high school level, you will for sure see it. And especially in the youth level, you will for sure see it. So what should you do against head up off man? And that is close the distance and attack his midline. So what does that exactly mean? Before we get into that, though, fellas, I want to talk to you guys about a great opportunity this offseason that we are going to be offering. We are traveling out to 7 other cities across the United States for 2-day-long quarterback and wide receiver training camps. So we've already done camps in Tampa, Florida. We've been out to Phoenix, Arizona. This weekend, we're in Houston, Texas, and that camp the registration is closed for that camp. So now we're going to be coming out to Newark, New Jersey, then Atlanta, Georgia, Columbus, Ohio, Chicago, Illinois, Dallas, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee, and Los Angeles, California. So if you guys want to train with us, come get some work in with us, with myself and my staff of coaches for 2 whole days, 4 hours each day. So that's 8 hours total of work. Check out that very first link in the description below, fellas. If you guys would like to travel out, or if you guys are local to one of the cities that we are coming out to, we would absolutely love to have you out at one of our camps. Now, again, we are limiting spots at these camps to only 10 to 12 guys. Reason for that is because we don't want it to be just like a drill factory where we're just, okay, you're up, okay, next guy's up, next guy's up, and we're moving fast and nobody's getting coached. We're only limiting it to 10 to 12 guys per position group. So we can actually take the time to, hey, coach you up a little bit. Hey, you're doing this wrong. Hey, you're doing that wrong. So that's the whole goal of this. So if you feel like that's something you guys could get better with, check out that very first link below. We would love to have you out to one of our off-season camps. Let's get back to this video. So now, the situation we were talking about is head up off man coverage, right? So if he's head up on me, honestly, if I have an outside breaking route or an inside breaking route, what I would do is I would go straight at him. That's what you have to do. You have to make him uncomfortable. You have to close the cushion with him, because what a lot of guys do against this head up, especially a look where they're backpedaling out of there and they're bailing, what a lot of guys do is they just give it away. They just run a lazy route. They just round it off and run the out, or round it off and run the post. You want to get right into this guy. You want to step on his toes, and you want to attack the midline and threaten him opposite of where you're going. So probably the best move to use on that would be a rocker step. So let's look at this example right here. This is a post route versus head up off man coverage. So he's going at him, attacking him, 1-2, hits him with that rocker step. It could be more considered like a seam, I guess you could say, or a really skinny post, but I would consider this a post just based off of the move that he throws. But again, whether it's a skinny post or whether it's a hard post, whether it's a dig or whatever it is, whether it's an out route, you have to attack the midline of this DB. So when it is off man, head up coverage, you attack the midline, you close the distance, and you can use a move like a rocker step. And a rocker step is where you take those 2 steps at the break, where you go one inside cut and then second outside cut, and you see how he's threatening him with the out route. Hips and shoulders are going to the outside. Eyes are going to the outside. Everything about this says that he's breaking off that inside foot and just going to run the out route, and that's what moves the DB off the platform, and that's what can get us open in off-man head-up coverage. Again, not the most common look in the world, but still something that we have to be prepared for as a wide receiver, okay? Let's watch the thing again, full speed one more time. Great job closing distance. Great job using the rocker step and then accelerating out of that break to widen the gap with the DB, okay? So now, next one. Outside shade off man. So we have to think about a few things with outside shade off man. So first things first, when you have an inside route, you're attacking the DB's leverage to move him off the platform. And then when you have an outside route, you would attack the DB's inside shoulder. So it is the exact opposite of inside shade off man, but we have to understand why a DB would ever play me outside shade off man. Okay, so now this is a situation on the goal line. This is Hunter Renfrow, right? So this situation, like you see the hash mark right here, he's the furthest outside wide receiver. So his split is obviously cut down. So a smart DB is going to be expecting what? He is going to be expecting an outside breaking route, right? So he's outside shade, so he's expecting an outside breaking route, because if your split is cut down, when do you ever really run like a post route or a dig route? You're either probably going to be running, from a DB perspective, he's thinking you're either running maybe a drag or you're going to be running an out route or a corner route. That's his perspective, and he's outside shade simply also because he has safety help. So like we were saying, if you have to run an outside breaking route, like you do have to run the 10-yard out, which you run a lot of when your split's cut down, you would think of it just like the inside route versus inside leverage that we talked about in the very beginning of this video. You would attack the inside shoulder, okay? So you wouldn't attack, like, again, if that DB was lined up inside shade and you had to run like an inside breaking route, you'd attack the outside shoulder. But the goal is to get him to flip his hips and bite on the inside move so we could slip under him. So let's play at full speed. I'll stop talking. So let's play at full speed. So he does a great job, Renfrow, here, hitting him with the rocker step, just like we saw Thayer Thomas do. But again, it's the opposite. He's attacking inside shoulder against outside leverage when he has to run that outside breaking route. So that's what you want to do. Make sure we split that defender in half, attacking the inside shoulder with either the stem, or maybe we go at him like he does and give a rocker step, but something to threaten him inside so we could slip back outside. Now, this should be pretty self-explanatory. If I have to run a post route, right, for example, or a dig route or anything inside breaking, like maybe a curl route, again, why was he outside shade? He's expecting the outside route, but also he has safety help. So your goal when it's outside leverage is not to just run it off. There's a lot of people when they have to run the post, they have to run the dig. What they will do when it's outside shade is they'll think, oh, he's just giving me the inside. They'll take off and run it. He's going to get, this DB right here is going to get right into your hip, force you inside where his help is, and that's going to be an incredibly tight window for the quarterback to hit the throw. So what do you think you want to do? You would attack him because, again, we know he's outside leverage because he's not going to let you go outside. He's expecting you to go outside. He wants you to think that you have the out route and just try to go run it, and he's going to get hands and force you all the way to that sideline. So if I could threaten him with that and I could attack his leverage, he's going to move to the outside, and then that creates a bigger window for my quarterback to hit me into. I know that is not the example that we're talking about, but you have to be prepared for different situations, fellas. And again, it's all conceptual. It's all understanding a leverage, and it's all understanding what that DB is trying to accomplish. You have to think like a DB when you are structuring your routes. Let's watch it again, full speed one more time. Great job by Renfrow attacking the inside shoulder with the rocker step and getting that DB to bite on that inside fake to flip his hips. Okay, so now, last route we're talking about here is against zone. So let's talk about it. Zone coverage. So this is like, hey, so again, we talked about in the beginning. How do we know it's off man? How do we know it's zone? In zone, that DB is not looking at you. That DB has his eyes to the inside of the number 2 receiver or to the quarterback, okay? So that's how we know. And he's got his front hip turned to you, and he has an area called the blind spot exposed. And we're going to be talking about that. Now, off man, he's looking at you, right? He could still be off. He still could be outside shade, but he is looking at you. Now, with an inside route against zone coverage, right, you would want to attack the blind spot. And we're going to talk about that. With an outside route, you could also attack the blind spot, but you could also attack the inside shoulder. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. That's the example. Or you could stem inside, then work to the blind spot to threaten that DB vertical on maybe a route like a comeback, right? So let's watch this let's watch this clip full speed. So is Odell here. Again, zone coverage, he's turned. He's got his hips turned to him. His eyes are in the backfield or at the number 2 receiver. So I know if I have to run a 10-yard out route, that's what Odell is going to be running. What did we say about outside breaking routes? You want to attack the inside shoulder. It is just like off man. Pretty much just like off man, except there's an area called the blind spot, and we'll talk about that. So Odell does a great job of, he doesn't necessarily use that rocker step that Hunter Renfrow used. He more so has a fast stem right to that shoulder to force the hip flip. So let's play at full speed. So again, forces the hip flip, breaks this thing right off, and then is able to make some separation on this thing, right? So when you come off here and you're selling fade like you should, eyes forward, hips and shoulders forward, you're in full stride, you're going full speed, and you have the correct stem. Everything about this says that you're running a deep post. Everything about this says that you're pushing vertical, going to go run a post, break it off on a dig, break it off on a curl. That's what we have to make it look like. And that's what gets that DB to flip his hips. And you see how much space I have now to the outside. DBs work on this transition too. They work on that speed turn, right? They work on this speed turn. But if I am able to sell the route, if I'm able to get that DB to commit full speed because I'm going full speed, and then I'm able to accelerate out of the break because my cut was sudden and I had the right type of form on the cut, he has no chance. There's about 3 to 4 yards right there. He has no chance. More, actually. There's about 5 yards right there. He has no chance to recover if we do what I need to do on the route correctly. Now, let's talk about if you had an inside breaking route, right? So if I get to this position right here, like off the line, and this DB's wide, if you have like a post route, for example, you would want to go right here. You would want to angle that stem right at that blind spot, go straight at the blind spot because that's what that threatens that DB vertical. Or what he's going to do is it's a form of attacking his leverage, just like we talked about with off man. He's going to widen with you when you threaten that blind spot, and guess what? That creates a bigger window to the inside for you to run your dig, your curl, your post, your seam, whatever it is. So that's how we have to make sure we attack that zone coverage look, fellas. Inside breaking routes, we're going to the blind spot. Outside breaking routes, we could stem to that shoulder. Or maybe if you're running like a comeback, you could step on his toes, give him a fake, work blind spot, then snap it off to force the hip turn. But you always have to threaten inside when it's that outside breaking route. Let's watch it again, full speed one more time. Great job by Odell selling fade, breaking it off, and then accelerating out of this break to keep that separation with the DB. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave that in the comment section below. I always appreciate the feedback, and it's always great to hear from you guys. You guys help keep this channel rolling, so I definitely appreciate it. Always appreciate the help. And again, fellas, if you're local to one of the 7 cities that we are traveling out to this offseason, Newark, Atlanta, Columbus, Chicago, Dallas, Nashville, and Los Angeles, we would love to have you out for one of our off-season camps. Check out that very first link in the description below. Great opportunity for you guys to get some great work in this year and learn a few new things, a lot of new things, and just get your game overall better. I'll see you guys next time.